Hey, Coach, what's happening?
Hey. Wow, look at all these faces. Look at
all these ugly mugs, man.
I'll tell you what, I love it.
You didn't have anything better to do on a Thursday at 2 o'clock than stare at a screen at our ugly faces.
Actually, I did not. I'm just going to let you know that I did not.
Well, you can't go outside because it's 108 degrees right now. So,
it's
what are you going to do?
Shockingly hot. It's like shockingly hot. It really is. I've tried to go out fishing a couple times, and I'm like, man, I can see why the fish are sitting on the bottom of these tanks right now going, I'm not even hungry.
I tell you what, I have been in the same fishing boat as you. But I went out last night, and I haven't been catching. It's been awful, and I love to fish, like you do. And we'll talk more about that for sure. But I went out last night. It was almost dark. I mean, time for you normally to be coming back in.
Right.
I caught a 5 and a 4 bass. I caught two largemouths. One went 5, one went 4. Those are the two biggest fish I've caught all year, and it was 2 fish and 3 casts. So maybe that's the secret. You got to wait until it's just damn near no light for them suckers to be like, oh, I'm hungry now.
It's kind of funny because you'll be like, okay, one more before I get going here, and I'll just go ahead and head out. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, here we go. And then it starts going, and then you're like, well, I can't leave now.
No. Where do you like to fish normally?
I actually just fish at our place. I got a small piece of property about 20 minutes from our house, and we have a couple tanks on there. One is more for cattle. And the second one is for fishing, and we have a kind of section of it kind of blocked off so the cattle can't get out there. So it's kind of more for wildlife. And I plant some stuff and have some feeders out there, just trying to attract some wildlife as best I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I stay local here, man. We've got a couple of tanks on our place, and hell, I used to big lake fish all the time, but since we've been out here almost 3 years, man, I don't know that I've been on big water since we got out here, to be honest with you.
No, I enjoy fishing right off the bank. I really do. Yeah. I enjoy it. It's simple. It's time effectiveness. You know what I mean? It's just efficient, and I just enjoy it because I can kind of walk around. I can find different spots, and, having to get a boat in, a boat out. Now, granted, there's always bigger fish out there, but I enjoy just fishing at our place.
I'm with you on that. Well, cool. Let's go ahead and get this party officially started.
Let's go.
And we'll talk about fishing again. I promise you that.
No worries. Don't worry. You're on the wall, by the way. You're on the wall.
Hey, I'm covered up right now, but I got my Baylor. Oh, I don't know if you can see it. I got my Baylor gloves.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I got my Baylor gloves right there.
I love it.
Yeah, right there. I'm in my office here. Mine looks more like a little kid's room, though.
Well, it's funny. Here's how I have to do it. So what I try to do is I try to create as many different opportunities to talk to people. I love music and I love listening, and I'm a big guitar guy. Even though I don't play the guitar, I just love the way they look, and I just think they're really neat. And so I obviously have yours. I got Kenny Chesney there. I got Toby Keith there, and I got Bree Bagwell on the end down there.
All right.
And then that thing right there, that snare drum or that bass drum, that is on the back of it, an artist drew something, but this is Elton John's whole band. So Elton John's in the middle.
Wow.
And then his whole band signed that right there. So
now Elton John is one of my Elton John's Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Piano Player is on my turntable right now.
Really?
Literally. Yeah, absolutely. I came out of the womb rocking Elton John. We actually got to go see him 2 or 3 years ago. He was doing his residency out at Caesar's Palace. And
yes, I saw him there as well.
Yeah, I got off the road, came home. The next morning, me and Rebecca went to the airport. We flew to Vegas. We watched Elton John. We got on a plane and flew home.
That is awesome.
That was it.
That is awesome. So my second baseman, Josh Bissonette, his dad is the bass guitarist for Elton John.
You were telling me that, Keith.
So we have that. And then back when I was in California, I just had some really interesting friends.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Meet out there. One of them, his name is Russ Regan. And he's the guy who actually brought Elton John over from England. And he named the Beach Boys, and he's done a lot of work with some people like that. And so Russ Regan, Frank Sinatra, and he just did a lot of work with some of these people. He did something really neat. He got me this autographed Elton John song. It's when Princess Diana died. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think of the name.
He did
Rose.
Yeah, well, and he changed the Candle in the Wind too.
Yeah, Candle in the Wind. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so he actually autographed that sheet music for me, and I have it up at my house. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so pretty cool.
That's definitely a story for a couple in. And if you're joining us, we are a couple in. I'm Cody Jinks. We got Josh Thompson coming to us from Boyd, Texas. Hi, Josh.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good. We got Bobby Keith from just outside of Waco, Texas. Hey, buddy. Doing good. This is going to be a fun one. We've
Cody,
got.
I came with more energy today, and you just completely blew over with the energy that I came with.
I gave him a hard time yesterday. I didn't feel like his greeting was good. What's up, Josh? Hey. But no, we got Seth Noseworthy, just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, turning the knobs. And our very special guest today, and I'm just going to call you Coach because
that's fine.
No matter how old you get, when I saw one of my high school coaches not long ago, and I was like, "Hey, Coach," you always call coaches Coach. I don't know why you do that, but we have Coach Rod. We have Steve Rodriguez, head baseball coach for the University of Baylor. And so I figure you're coming to us somewhere down that area?
I'm in Waco, Texas right now, yes.
Waco, Texas. Well, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time. And like Keith said, we've been looking forward to this. I love picking the brains of people who have to deal with people. And psychology is a big part of your job, and we'll dive into more of that stuff. But I'm going to get the boring stuff to you out of the way first. We're going to talk about you here.
I don't have boring stuff. I'm just going to let you know. There is nothing but excitement coming from me.
Yeah, but sometimes people think talking about themselves is boring. But obviously, had to go back and do my due diligence as the host for this show and find out a bit more about you than I knew. And first of all, your numbers and what you accomplished at Pepperdine are pretty incredible. We can go over. Gosh, man, it's a very long and distinguished list. First championship in '92 for Pepperdine.
Correct.
And you were part of that team.
Yes.
Second base and shortstop.
Second baseman in college, but a middle infielder, second short in pro ball. Yes.
Okay. Two-time Waves All-American, 91 and 92. And for those that don't know Pepperdine Waves.
That's correct.
West Coast Conference Player of the Year. I don't know how you get much of a better resume than that coming out. And then you were drafted. Oh my goodness. Let's see. My chicken scratch is awful. Drafted by the Red Sox.
Correct.
And then you played in the Tigers organization, the Expos, when there was the Expos.
Back in the day, yes. Back in the day.
I always thought
that's when you start to date yourself, when you start seeing people, then they're like the Expos. In fact, I think I still have my Expos hat up here too. Yeah.
I thought they had the coolest.
They have the coolest hat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The coolest uniforms.
They did.
The Expos and the Pirates. The Pirates, that black hat with
the gold. All black with the gold rings around. Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought the Pirates and the Expos just looked the coolest whenever I was a kid. Anyway, all right. So played pro ball, got out of pro ball in, I guess, 98, and you went into coaching at your alma mater.
Correct. That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So that, yeah.
Tell us about it.
No,
the transition.
So the transition from player to coach?
Yeah.
Okay. Believe it or not, it's never a fun transition. When I was with the Expos, toward the end of my career, it was my last spring training. We were in, I think it was St. Petersburg. We were sharing a complex with the Cardinals at the time. And, I remember, cause I was like one of the older guys now, I guess is the best way you can explain it. I was one of the older guys on the team in regards to the AAA team. And, I remember, field coordinators and minor league directors were like, hey, have you ever thought of coaching? And that's when I started looking at like, man, they don't really think I'm a good player anymore because they're trying to like shift me from being a player to a coach. Yeah. And I said, well, I'd like to finish playing. And they're like, oh, no. But what we're saying, I go, yeah, I see what you're saying. And so, that's kind of how my mind started processing. Do I want to do this as a living? And I had some opportunities when I was done playing. So I was playing for the Expos. I was a player to be named later in a trade with the Dodgers, my last season. And, so I went from, believe it or not, Ottawa, Canada to Albuquerque, New Mexico, like overnight. And so, and that's kind of where my career ended. I ended up breaking my wrist and, my career was done. And, I had some opportunities to go back and play. And I had my daughter at the time, Julia, and, she had just turned 1 and I just didn't want to be an on the road daddy. I just didn't. So, because we called them 2-week daddies. I was at home for 2 weeks and gone for 2 weeks and home for 2 weeks. And I just didn't like hearing, hey, guess what Julia did today, and she got to do this and she said this. And so we made a decision that, I was going to retire from baseball. And that's when you start to look in the mirror and you go, man, like now what? I'm 28, 29 years old and I don't have a ton of skills. I can hit a fastball. I can throw a double. I can turn double play and run fast. I can do a lot of things. I can pick signs. I can do a lot of that, but that doesn't help me in working in the working world. So in a cubicle or in some kind of a business, that's not going to help me a whole lot. So I decided to finish up my degree and I jumped in and, so I was finishing up my degree at a couple different places when the Pepperdine assistant job opened up. And so I applied for it. And obviously just because of my track record, and being a Pepperdine Wave, I was able to do that. And, so I was an assistant coach there for 4 years. And I'll tell you what, the transition is hard. It's hard because you understand all the things that it takes to be very successful as a player. And then when you get to a coach and you see what players are doing, and I want to tell them, you realize that's not it. Like, that's not going to get you where you want to go. And then they have that weird look like, what are you talking about? I know what I'm doing. And I go, okay. So that has been a really interesting transition for me. Obviously that was way back and times have changed and communication styles and everything have changed a little bit, but, I'll tell you what, but it is a fun transition though. It is really a fun transition the hardest part, I'll be honest, I guess it's kind of like you guys when the pandemic hit and everybody having to quarantine, you're getting ready to go. And then all of a sudden they go, no, you can't, so that was a spring training for me when I decided to say I'm not playing anymore. And then right around March, April, people start getting ready to go to spring training and you're just like, man, I feel empty. There's something gone. There's a void that's not there. And you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do now? And I think that 2 months, my wife could say was probably the most difficult because, I felt alone. I felt separated. I felt completely, isolated from a lot of people that nobody knew what I was going through. My friends were going to spring training or I had other friends who were already doing jobs and I was kind of left on this island, like by myself is what it felt like. And so that was a really difficult time, for that transition, but it was great because it made me have to learn how to deal with a lot of different things, just kind of mentally and personally.
So would you say, okay, that was a great answer. The transition, because you were the assistant there at Pepperdine for 4 years.
4 years,
okay?
Yes.
When was it you were like, okay, the transition was tough. Now I'm a coach. Now I love being a coach, and now I can take this head coaching job. Like, right. Where was the succession in going into becoming the head coach?
Well, my transition is probably a little bit different than many other people. I mean, I really enjoyed being an assistant coach. I really did, because I'm not, an assistant coach doesn't write the lineup. He's not the one that's making everybody mad about the lineup and who's going in and stuff like that. And so I could still be, I don't want to say friends with them, but I could be like their confidant and giving them a pat on the back, say, hey, you still got this. You're going to be fine. Keep working hard. We're talking about you, type of thing. But our head coach, when I was an assistant at Pepperdine, he had some medical issues. And so, my other assistant, the other assistant coach and I had to do, a lot of things just because he physically wasn't able to. And so we actually had to do a lot of, I'd say, head coach responsibilities in some facets, to kind of prepare us for that moment. And so when the opportunity, came for them to hire a new head coach, and I was already there, it was an easy transition just because as an alumni, I met my wife there. We were we were kind of in that area. And so it was an easy transition for the university and for us as well.
Yeah. So you met your wife, going to school?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Heck yeah. We were at a game and she was wearing white jeans and a red sweater. And, she had that big 80s, like 90s hair at the time.
Yeah, buddy.
I just remember looking up and I was like, that's my girl right there.
She is.
It was funny as I tell the story. We were actually, at our church and they came and interviewed us about life groups and stuff. And I was just like, heck yeah, she's looking hot. And everybody's just it's just funny because everybody remembers that first time you see like, oh yeah, that's the one right there.
That's funny. Now, okay, you said church, and I had this written down too, okay, because this is great. Pepperdine is a Church of Christ school.
That's correct.
Okay, you're talking with two Church of Christ boys here, right here.
Okay.
Me and Josh both grew up Church of Christ.
Okay.
Now, you went to a Baptist university. I mean, like you're coaching at a Baptist, that the Church of Christ probably doesn't like that.
I'm just going to be honest. For me, this is like, man, you dropped the political question on me here.
I am so jacking with you right now, man.
I'm just letting you know. Like I tell people, I go, hey, when I go to heaven and I'm in front of those gates and I gotta face my maker, and he's just like, how do you go from Church of Christ to a Baptist? I said, you know what? We're going to be just fine. If that's going to have to be my biggest issue, we are going to be just fine.
You're great. No, man, I had some friends that went out to Pepperdine as well. And I just had to throw that in there a little bit.
One thing I do like though is going from a faith-based school to a faith-based school. And that's just because of who my wife and I are. It's an easy transition because that's kind of who we are. We like talking about it. We like to be able to invite kids over. We have Bible studies and we do stuff like that. And I never want to have to be at a university where I'm not allowed to be free about that.
To where it's kind of like, well, hey, let's not say the Lord's Prayer before the game or something like that. Exactly. Some people don't. Yeah, I know. I totally get it, man. I'm in your corner on that one.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've heard my songs.
Yes, I have.
So you had just a phenomenal coaching, resume coming out of Pepperdine. You got hired on, with Baylor in 15. Mm-hmm. Was Texas cause you're from Nevada originally, right?
My dad's in the Air Force, correct. So he was, I was from Las Vegas originally. So I'm like that one guy who everybody goes, oh my gosh, where are you from? Vegas, and everybody usually freaks out. Either most kids stay in Vegas, they're born and raised there, they stay there, or they get out. And, I had the opportunity to get out. But yeah, my dad was in the Air Force from Las Vegas, Nevada originally, yes.
Yeah. So then you spent time out in Malibu and then, you played ball and then the thriving metropolis of Waco, Texas.
Drew us in.
Drew you right in, man.
It did. I'll tell you what, there was, I'm sure for people who are from here, they don't really see it. But like when people from Texas go to like small towns in Colorado or, small towns in Montana and just, they see certain things and the people and just how friendly everybody is. That's how we felt about it. It really is. We came out here, the community, the people, just how everybody reacted to who you are. And, Just wanted to get to know you. Like as soon as we moved in, they threw us like a neighborhood party to introduce us to everybody. And I'll tell you what, that's something that we just never did in California. And we absolutely loved it. And I mean, I'll tell you what, going from Malibu to Waco, I'm not going to lie. My wife was losing it. She was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing this. Yeah. But right now she would tell you it's the greatest things we've ever done for our kids and for our family. And that we would never think about making that change is something we would do every single time.
You know, it's actually a great place. And when I say thriving metropolis, I'm not joking. Waco is absolutely thriving right now. There's a lot of things that have, obviously the athletic programs have been really good for, right. You know, I mean, like almost every.
I mean, we're going on 10 years now
correct.
Baylor's been competitive every single year in basketball, football, baseball, you name it. It's been quite an accomplishment what that program has done. Like I said, the last 10 years, because, you know, I grew up out in West Texas, you know, Texas Tech, and, you know, along with Tech and Baylor, you know, were the laughing stocks of the Southwest Conference for a long time, you know.
No, I'll tell you what, it has changed significantly even since we've been here. Obviously, with the Chip and Joanna Gaines and the Magnolia, the silos, everything that's going up, this new hotel they're building. Mm-hmm. I think Amazon now is putting in a distribution center here in Waco, which is just right up the way. And so, I mean, it is just, which I think is going to bring something like 1,100 jobs or something like that into the. So it's just amazing what people are coming. Like we had close to 80 people our first year here come in from California and just stay with us and kind of go, what were you thinking? And then by the time they spend about 48 hours at our house and we have a chance to drive around the city and take them out to the ranch and take them out to eat and get them to meet people, they go, oh, we totally see it now. And I go, yeah, life is not as complicated as most people want to make it out to be. You can make it as simple as you want. And we've really simplified things. And I'll tell you what, we absolutely love it. We do.
Well, and it's such a great location. It's, you know, I mean, you're right there in the middle of everything. You're hour and a half from the airport going two different directions, Austin or Dallas, you know, whatever you want. I mean, it really is a cool town. And my wife and I were down there a few months ago. Our buddy Cameron Morris from Standard Hat Works, so, you know, they're based out in there. And we went down and got a hotel room and went out to eat with Cameron and his wife Nicole, and they took us to their favorite steakhouse. It's just it's a really cool town. We've always had a lot of fun. We've always had great shows in Waco. Anyway,
it was funny, Cody. I'll tell you what. In California, I lived about 25 miles from Dodger Stadium. Okay, and it would take me anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours to get to a Dodger game. And so you would have to, for a 7:00 game, you would have to leave like right around 3 or 3:30 to be pulling in right as that game's getting started. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, you live so far from everything. I go, I live 90 miles from the airport and it takes me like an hour and 20 minutes to get there. I said, so it's not like what people go, oh my gosh, you live so far. I go, no, actually it's based off of miles here. Like in California, everything is based off of time.
Yes.
So you go, oh, you got to go to LA. Yeah, that's 2.5 hours. Like everything's based off of time. Here, everything's based off of miles. And that's the big difference.
It is. And having spent a pretty good amount of time in LA, it's, you know, how far is that? That's about 2.5 hours. No, how far is it? It's, you know, it's 13 miles.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and here
exactly right.
You know, it's backwards, but, so let's talk a little bit about, the train wreck of that is, not just college sports, but just sports in general right now. Yeah. How you guys are dealing with it, how the players are dealing with it. Boredom is a bad thing for the young men that are in the age group that you coach.
Oh, I'll tell you what, we just got off a Zoom call with our guys. And it's exactly right. We're keeping them updated as we're getting information and just like everybody else, information every day there's something different coming out. So, trying to keep them updated, keeping them healthy, letting them know about the testing protocols that we're going to have once they get onboarded, some things that they're going to have to do. My biggest advice to them all the time was like, go outside, get out of your house, go outside, go fish, go hunt, go help your mom outside, go help in the garden, go do something, go figure out a hobby that requires you to be outside in the fresh air and doing stuff, because it's, when you start getting locked into the Netflix and, Prime Video series, pretty soon hours and hours go by and your body hasn't done anything creative, and it's hard and it's frustrating. But I'll tell you what, it's an easy, rabbit hole to fall down. It really is, because, pretty soon you're like, oh, I have time. Well, that I have time turns into weeks. And next thing you know, it's hard to kind of get yourself out of that. It really is. It becomes like I don't want to say it's an addiction, but it becomes a really reckless habit, for a lot of people, because they don't know what to do with themselves when the normalcy has been taken away from them. So, some people don't know how to be creative. Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, go teach yourself and learn. Go figure that out. I've never done a lot of things, and guess what? You're going to mess it up. That's okay. Just do it again and keep trying something. And, that for me is the biggest thing is, we told our guys, and I know that there's going to be some issues coming back. Some guys don't have the facilities or ability to go and work out and do things, and that's okay. We had that conversation today. Hey, I want you to just tell me if you've done nothing, just let me know so we know exactly where we're going to start. I don't care, but I don't want you to lie to me and tell me that you've been doing all this stuff and then you come back and you haven't. So, but I'll tell you what, boredom is a scary thing. Isolation is a scary thing, especially when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids who their sole goal is they want to congregate. They want to be around people. They want to do things. And, it's a tough thing to kind of maneuver around, but it's kind of where we are right now.
And you're having to dive into some possibly uncharted pages of the coach's playbook to figure out how to coach this scenario. And that's something that, is probably new to you, because a lot of people in a lot of different walks of life are trying to navigate this, be it how, whatever it is they're doing. Your coaching philosophies, which I wanted to get into that as well. Staying in touch with them, not necessarily staying on them, but, just keeping the open dialogue, coaching while you're not coaching, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. The biggest thing, and I tell this to our coaches, we've dealt with, all sorts of different issues. Even when I was at Pepperdine to here, there's, negativity coming in a lot of different directions that causes you to be you're going to have to be creative in a lot of different ways. When there's a crisis, I tell people, I go, man, it's amazing how successful you can be if you allow yourself the opportunity to be creative with your tasks, with your words, and with the things that you want to be able to do and to be able to accomplish. A lot of people, it's easy to say, well, this happened, so we can't do that anymore. That's the easiest thing in the world to say. The hardest thing to say is, hey, we're going to find a way to get better, and we got to be creative with how we're going to do it. Great example is you have a concert on Facebook Live. One of the greatest things, I was sitting there with my family in the car while we're listening to it, and we just love the stories about how the songs were made and stuff like that. Like that's creativity. That is how those things, for me, that's how you keep in touch with people, and that's how you start to continue to love your craft and what you do. And I'm in communication with a lot of different coaches throughout the country, and some on the West Coast, some in the Midwest, some on the East Coast. So I can see what is everybody doing? How are you guys doing this? You guys are going to be all online. Okay. How are you staying in touch with your players? You guys are going to be in class this week. Okay. What are you telling your guys? And you start to learn all sorts of different things. Then at the same time you go, okay, how does that kind of affect me in my world here? And how am I going to be able to utilize some of those skills that they're helping with their players now that they're going through it or haven't gone through it? What are some things that they're doing? Cause I tell people all the time, coaches, we're creative, but we're all going after the same goal. So what is it that you're doing to help I tell people, if you want to know something, and you can come and watch and listen and do whatever you want to watch in order to be coaching. I'm not doing anything that is like revolutionary in my coaching style. I have some things that I do, but I don't have secrets. I want everybody to be able to be good at their craft and do what they can to make these kids better so they can get to the big leagues.
Talking about these these adolescents, these kids, I feel like you guys have an awesome responsibility, especially when you're recruiting. I assume you talk to the parents as well, and you have this responsibility of, hey, you're going to take care of these kids, and you're looking at those parents in the eye and talk, and and especially now that we have this added layer of health risk. I mean, just can you talk about that responsibility and how personal you take that?
Well, I tell parents from the very beginning that my goal is to make sure your son is a much better man and a much better person when he leaves here than when he first gets here. Because I think I tell him, the baseball stuff, that's the easiest stuff that we do. It really is. Teaching them defense, hitting, pitching, catch, all that stuff. Man, that stuff that's like bread and butter. I love doing that, and I can do that all day long. It's the other stuff, making sure they're going to class, making sure they're maximizing their tools, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do in the community, making sure that they're being a part and being a person of change, like making sure, like, don't be a person who complains about anything unless you're willing to take that leap of faith and do something. But the university has spent a ridiculous amount of money making sure that these kids are going to be safe, and they're doing everything. But like I tell them, I go, this is a two-way street. I go, we can't be going in one direction. You're going another direction. I go, we all have to be going down this same road. And if we're going to do everything we can to keep you safe, it's your responsibility to do the same, because we're not with you 24 hours a day. We don't have you in a bubble like the NBA does, to where you have bands on that tells you if you're within 6 feet of somebody. So we're going to do everything we can to keep them safe, but it's also their job as an individual and as a student athlete and just as a person to do what they can to keep the people around them safe as well.
So I have I have kids. One's about to turn 15.
Okay.
And this is my daughter. And about a year ago, we had a situation with social media apps, and basically, not to get it, but it was some stuff that we just weren't comfortable with,
Absolutely.
It's scary. And, and with your own kids and with your players, how much are you talking to them about social media and how they use it? Because, honestly, I don't want my kids to ever have it if I can keep them from having it,
I'll tell you what, yeah. I mean, as a coach, I utilize it in recruiting and all that other stuff, but, I tell our players one very simple thing. Social media is one of the greatest marketing tools you can have for yourself. And I tell them this could go in the positive and in the negative. So it can be one of the greatest things because you get to see all the hunting pictures. You get to see the family pictures. You get to see you working in the community. You get to see all these wonderful things. And at the same time, you get to see all the bad things. You're going to see kids doing foolish things, posting foolish things, because for some reason, if it goes into their head, they feel like they have to get it on social media. And I tell them, I go, you don't have to. It really doesn't have to be like that. And I go, if you can't control yourself, I would tell yourself to get off it. I really would. But it is just because obviously having kids growing up, my daughter has just graduated from Baylor last year. My son's at Baylor now. And, some of them they just kind of got rid of social media for a while. They just didn't want to have to deal with it. And I tell them, I go, there's nothing wrong with having a fast from social media. I go, it's actually good for you. But for some of them, it becomes just like we talked about different rabbit holes that people can go down. I go, it can be a scary thing. And, but just like everything else, it's still there. And I think these are amazing, parenting moments that people sometimes want to run from. But if you can teach them and talk to them and just let them understand it's okay to have, but there's some responsibility that goes along with it. Yeah. Just like your daughter's 15, guess what? She's going to be driving. There's a whole new world of like, oh my gosh, like fears and scariness that you have to worry about. It is. It's absolutely terrifying. And so just like this, I tell people, I go, the fear and the worry as a parent doesn't really go away. It just gets amplified with what's going to happen, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, driving a car, drinking, all these different things. The repercussions are a little bit greater as they get older. And so those are the scary things as a parent. But that's like I tell you, I said, look, all we can do is parent them as best we can, show them the truth, in regards to what can happen. I think there's tons of parenting moments that people run from, But the kids actually want to hear your opinion about a lot of it. They may not like it, but they're going to go away and they'll show like a funny face and but they're processing it at the same time because they want to know why you feel that way. And, I always tell them, I go, just because is not a good answer for a coach or a parent. It's just not. So you need to be able to, you need a parent and coach that why, they want to know why. And so once you kind of show them why that is, then it's easier for them to understand.
Is that why you chose to coach college ball instead of, trying the majors, because they're a little more moldable?
I like making a difference. I think a lot of in professional baseball, I've had some inquiries. There is some intrigue. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a kind of an interesting thing. Just because I love all the data analytics of professional baseball and some of the things that they're using. We use a lot of it here. But I think I can really make a change in a lot of these kids because these are very transformative times in their life, in regards to kind of who they're going to be as men and stuff like that, where sometimes I'm filling out a lineup. I'm helping them, play baseball. I don't really have a say in what they do off the field. And sometimes I don't even say what the lineup is going to be. Someone's telling me what the lineup's going to be. So I really like kind of what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to hopefully keep doing this as long as I can until I don't like doing it anymore.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that, Josh, because the way it sounded to me is it sounds like you are very much where you need to be in life right now and making a difference in these young men's lives. And it's I couldn't imagine being 18 to 21, 22 years old right now. Cause you're living in a time that's unparalleled. What's going on right now is beyond bizarre, even for me, and I'm 40. But being in that age group and being on top of the world, having a collegiate scholarship, also having, like you were saying a while ago, the social media stuff, Josh, grown up in an era where you've always had it. Mm-hmm. Like I know it's weird just for my kids and they're 8 and 11. I think right now being late teen, early 20s would probably have to be about one of the most difficult, because this is supposed to be the time of your life. So anyway, that just kind of goes back to, what you were saying a while ago. It sounds like you're very, very, comfortable and are where you should be. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's go. I want to stay on baseball.
Okay.
But, we try to bounce back and forth. We'll get serious for a minute and then, we shake it up.
Serious.
Stretch it out a little bit.
Wait a minute. You're only 40? Oh my gosh, I'm like the old man on this thing. Okay, hold on. Do you have hair? I want to see it. Let me see the top.
I don't have much.
Okay,
I don't have much. Hold on. But you're gonna love this though. You ready?
You got the reverse. What is?
I got a skullet, bud.
What is going? Is that planned? That's planned, right?
It's
okay. It's it's a mullet, but I'm bald on top and it's just long in the back. You can see it right there.
I tell everybody, see, you got the stuff that I don't have. I tell everybody, I just shaved this area up here just because it's like my own little deal. It's like when I eat spicy food, it starts to sweat really bad up here. That's when I know it's good.
That's when you know it's good. No, see, I'm thinning out all on top, and I got a big bald spot right here in the back. And we've been off the road. And on stage, I wear a cowboy hat anyway, so it doesn't really look any different. It looks like I have hair coming out the back like I normally do. But I was bored, and I've been bored, and my creative self needed something to do, and I talked to my wife about it, and I said, "Hey, would you shave me a skullet? We'll use the beard trimmers." And this was about 2 months ago. I've had it about a month now, and she says no, and I said, well, why not? And she said, because Cody, it's a horrible idea and you need to think about it. And I said, Rebecca, I'm not working. I can wear a hat. I'm at home. I haven't been anywhere in, 3 months at the time, 4 months at the time. So anyway, it took me a month. I finally wore her down and she said, people are going to think this is my fault. So anyway, I kept it and I still have it. And it's awful, but it's just kind of my middle finger to the going bald.
There you go. But, so here's the thing with your beard. Okay, one of my former players played for me at Pepperdine, Eric Thames. He's with the Washington National. He is absolutely jacked. He's a humongous human being. But he had this long beard that he did this thing where he took it and he kind of folded it up and then he stuck it up in his hat. Can you do that? Yeah, to where you create like a bait. Yes, there you go. Faceless man. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That there, and then if you can part it a little bit.
See, this is the worst part, Coach. Watch this.
Oh man, jeez.
That is what I'm talking. See, that's creativity. That's enjoying yourself right there.
I'll tell you, Coach. We were the other day. My wife. It's ridiculous. I do that in the studio to the guys, like whenever we're recording and it's getting real serious in there and somebody's mad because they can't get a part right or whatever. I'll do that and stick my tongue out and do something stupid.
Oh, it's in my nightmares, Coach.
But my wife and I went to the convenience store the other day, and also we're living in an age now where did you remember your mask or did you grab your mask?
Right.
That's
what you do. Yeah.
And we go to the store, and I'm not going to lie, Coach. I was going to get a couple of cases of beer, and I realized I didn't have my mask. And Rebecca was like, "Here, you can borrow mine. I'm not going in." I said, "No, that's gross. That's your mask." And so I just said, "I'll do this," and I tucked my beard up into my hat just like I did, and I walked in. And I could see a little bit.
You did not do this, Cody.
I promise. I got pictures of it, Josh.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'll send pictures. Hold on.
I hope there's security cameras with that.
I'll tell you what. All right. This is what we'll do. After we get off today, Josh and Keith, I will send you guys pictures because Rebecca took pictures of me going in and going out of the store with to get beer with my beard mask on.
It's the Bane mask. Absolutely. I love it.
So I walk in and there's two women behind the counter. They immediately, and I just kind of wave, "What's up?" I'll make my way back to the, I know where the beer is at.
You just go by feel now? You just go by feel?
So, by feel. I know how many steps it is. And so I go back, I get a couple of cases of beer. And at that point, somebody else had come into the store. So I'm standing there in line and everybody's laughing and I'm laughing, but I hear this guy behind me go, "I will never be that cool." That's all he said. "I will never be that." And I just turned around and I looked at him and I said, "Nope." You got to own it, man.
You know what? That is awesome.
I'll send you.
I love that. I need to see that picture.
I'm gonna forward it to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. When we get done, I'll send it to you, Keith. You can send it to Coach. But all right. Well, we got off on that tangent. I wanted to ask you some fun baseball stuff.
Okay, let's go.
You've been in the game at a very high level since the early 90s. Because once you're in college ball, you're basically in parentheses a professional athlete. Give me just you don't have to get too in depth here, or whatever. I mean, this isn't a real hard question, but who have you played with or played against that you just either loved playing with, hated playing with, or just said, "My gosh, that is one of the finest athletes," or "Holy crap, how did this guy end up on a roster?" Give me some favorites or some not favorites.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a couple things that I will say that are probably some of my most fun moments being a professional baseball player. I'm not gonna lie to you. So the first one is opening day. I made the team out of spring training. Opening day in Fenway Park. We're playing against the Minnesota Twins, 1995. And of course, I'm out there really early because I'm unbelievably excited. Rookie year, opening day in Fenway Park. There's media everywhere. There's fans everywhere. And I'm just trying to soak it all in, just try to understand, kind of my role and everything else like that on the team. It was after the strike year. So I was one of the added roster spots. I think we were allowed 27 on the roster at the time when it's supposed to be 25, but they had a pitcher named Frankie Rodriguez and myself, who were the added roster spots at that time. And so I was out there and I'm shagging in the outfield after I got my work done in the infield, and Kirby Puckett Kirby Puckett, who was one of my all-time favorite players.
Me too.
All of a sudden, we're finishing up BP, but we're still kind of going. It's at the end of it. And all of a sudden, I see him jogging out. I was in right field at the time. And I saw him jogging out toward me. And in my head, I was like, man, I hope I didn't do something wrong. You know what I mean? Like, am I standing in his spot? That, I'm always just trying to make sure I'm not doing anything that's going to upset somebody. Just knowing where my hierarchy is or the lack thereof. I'm usually at the bottom of the totem pole as a rookie. So I'm just trying to be kind and understand the process. And he comes walking up to me. He's kind of jogging, and I'm kind of standing there looking around to see, am I doing something wrong here? And he just keeps coming right at me. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, first of all, it's Kirby Puckett. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't do something wrong. And so he just comes up and he says, hey, I want to introduce myself. And I wanted to laugh at him and go, I know who you are. Yeah. I know exactly who you are. But it was really interesting because he came up and he said, hey, I'm Kirby Puckett. I just want to welcome you to a very elite group here in Major League Baseball. So congratulations to you. And I'll tell you what, one of the absolute coolest things that I can remember. And then every team that we played after that, I was like the shortest guy in Major League Baseball at the time. I was 5'8" and change. I'll say and change. But every time we would always find their smallest guy on the team, and then we would always go back to back, and we would kind of see. So that was like the running joke. But I tell people all the time, I tell people all the time, I said, hey, the fact that I was up there being sized up with other small guys, I'm way good with that.
Hey, bring out the measuring stick.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, they're sitting there, and whose spikes are taller? Are we on turf? Are we on grass? All that different stuff. But so that was one really amazing moment. Yeah.
Kirby didn't have much on you anyway, though, right?
No, he did not. So we were kind of neck and neck. Yeah, I played with some guys who are like 6'8", 6'9". You're a large human being, but he was like eye to eye with me. Absolutely.
Now quickly before you go to your next story, was there always some skin in the game on those who was taller or who was shorter?
You know what? Those guys seem to bet on everything. So it was fun.
Do. Baseball players bet.
It was like
everything.
They would bet on NASCAR races. They were betting on everything. Horse races, whose bag came off first on a turn start. I mean, it was everything. So it was just kind of funny. I never had that kind of money, so I just watched them play. I was like, man, that's really impressive. But yeah, there was always somebody doing something like that for sure. Next funny story was in that spring training. Like I said, I was an extra guy, so I came in. It was the strike year, so it was all kind of awkward and different anyway. And I'm sitting there getting my cleats on, getting ready to go out and get some work done. And all of a sudden I kind of stopped and I was like, man, like the air conditioning came on, something changed, the air shifted. And I looked over and like Roger Clemens came in, and I was like, man, you're really good when you can make the air change in the locker room. And I was just looking at him like, holy smokes. But we also had Jose Canseco on our team at the time as well. And I saw him with an Olympic bar with 45s on each side, just repping it out.
Oh
my
gosh.
And in my head, I'm just like, how am I supposed to compete with this guy? You know what I mean? He's swinging like a 36-inch, 36-ounce bat and with authority. And he's sitting here repping out curls with 135. And I'm just like, that's just really impressive. And so, but yeah, they're just a couple things like that I just sit there and look back and I think of just how amazing it was, having to play, against Cal Ripken the year he broke the record, just different things like that. We played like a tic-tac-toe game in the infield, which is kind of neat. Being able to be with, Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell and their final tour. They played 20 years in the big leagues together, and, they would go and they would start the game. They would both get an at bat, and then I would go in and for Lou Whitaker. And there was one time, Mike Mussina was pitching, and he told Lou Whitaker, hey, here comes a fastball. And Lou Whitaker hit it out. And as he was running, Mike Mussina kind of gave him like a tip of the hat. And in my head, I'm like, that is just awesome. Those are the respectful things that are just really cool about this game.
I love those things too. And I feel like I say this every show, but we have so many people on that have to do with sports. But we're all sports nuts. We love we're baseball and football fans predominantly, and big ones at that. And we've been to lots of different ballparks and stuff like that. But one of the coolest things that I was witness to was I got to see Cal Ripken's last go around which it's not the ballpark in Arlington anymore. Well, they just built the Globe Life Stadium. But anyway, there. But at the old Texas Rangers ballpark, the old one that I grew up going to, sitting in the bleachers, on the bleachers.
Right.
I got to see George Brett's last game when he was on, his last tour out, and his last at bat, he just hits a turd, and I forgot who was on first at the time, but I think, it might have been Julio Franklin. I can't remember. But the whoever was on first and whoever was on second just looked at each other and watched that turd just go on by. George runs to first base and everybody's clapping. But the stuff that makes your sport's heart, like oh, that was cool.
And the fact that they have that kind of respect for a person like that of a different team who has done the things that they've done for the sport, I think that's where the respect comes in, when you've gained a lot of respect from your teammates and the people who are in your sport when they're able to do that for you as a small sign of appreciation. I really think that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I find that, talking to you guys more and more, you guys seem to, it's the fans that make this animosity kind of have, but you guys yourselves, I feel like for the most part, respect each other because you know how hard it is to be where you're at.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things that people don't realize is back in the day, I don't think guys liked each other. Back when you were sliding in hard and you were taking guys out and stuff like that, there was some hatred, Dodgers, Yankees. I think there was some hatred in regards to teams like that. But because mostly those players stayed on those teams for their whole career. Now your people are bouncing around all over the place and they don't really have that because those are former teammates or, there's guys switching all the time. And so for them, they've already played with this team and they played with this guy on a different team. So I think the camaraderie that they're able to achieve now is just because they're not on one team the whole time. And so I think, like you said, like the respect that everybody has for each other is pretty impressive.
You feel like that's made the game better?
Both. Okay. I liked when there was some fierce competition. I really did. But I do think that at the same time, it's a profession. Everybody's trying to make sure they make the best of it and do the right thing. You can make an argument for both sides. I could see, and I could agree with both sides on that.
I love the stories, man. That's why we're here. This is such it's for us. It's like you were saying, it's another way to be creative. We can't play shows. So I love hearing people's stories.
Do you remember Willie McGee?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Willie McGee, he was playing with me with the Red Sox in AAA, and his locker was next to mine, and I would always try to pick their brain, like, hey, teach me something, tell me something I need to be aware of, kind of show me something. I mean, you're one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball. You're one of the hardest guys to strike out. I mean, all these different things. You won a championship with the Cardinals. And I was like, he kind of looked at me and he's like, you want me to teach you something? And I was like, yeah, man, teach me something. He goes, it's really hard to strike out if you don't get 2 strikes on you. And he got up and he left. And I was just like, and I thought about that for like a good 20 minutes. I was like, that's actually a really good point. You can't strike out. I'll tell you what, the most simplest of answers had my mind just reeling for a good 20, 30 minutes. It was pretty funny.
That's fantastic. Oh man. All right. So that will lead me to the last question I asked will lead to this question as well. That one was about, cool stories about, the Kirby Puckett. I love that story. He was such an icon in base. Actually, I have a 1991 World Series back here, from it was a special commemorative Twins.
It's back when he jumped over the baggie and he came back with a home run. Yeah. The gold seat that was out there in the Metrodome.
Well, and you got to think, man, Kirby was the prime of my baseball card collecting.
I've got a couple Kirby Puckets in the closet.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a closet full of them. So whenever you're ready we'll play cards after a while.
Okay.
If I ever meet Chipper Jones, I'm going to have him sign about 15 rookie cards. That's what's up, man. Who have you coached that, and you don't even have to, this doesn't have to be the best player you've coached. I don't know. It can be the best. It can be your favorite. That's the finest baseball player / athlete. Who would that be?
Oh, wow. There's been a couple kids who have gone through our program that, and just in my career that I've kind of watched, and you kind of go, man, that's just something really special. We had a catcher here named Shea Langoliers 2 years ago. He was a first round pick by the Braves. I think the number 9 pick overall. I've never seen a catcher catch and throw like him. It's like game changing. It's one of the most incredible things that I've seen. Davis Wenzel he was a first round pick the same year as Shea by the Rangers, and defensively he made 2 errors all year. Just watching his ability to get the ball in his glove, it was fascinating for me. Chase Darno was a journeyman, so I think he's been in the big league for like 8 years. He just finished, but with a bunch of different teams, and he was a shortstop, went to third base, then he played like a bunch of different positions with the Braves and a couple other organizations. But he was another guy, and he's one of those quirky guys who, man, he would say some things, and I'm like, he actually taught me patience. He taught me patience like I've never seen, because he would say some stuff and I'm like, really? That's what you're thinking right now? And he would be like, well, coach, think about it. And then I would think about it and I go, you're absolutely right. I just never went to it that direction. Cause if I'm going this way and he's going around, but he's still getting in the same spot, I'm like, you're not wrong, but man, what a different path to get there. But in my head, I'm like, but that's how he processes it. And so for me, I started to really like the quirky guys because I started to learn a lot about how their mind thinks and how I have to coach them, and how I have to listen and kind of process and stuff like that. But by far, Eric Thames was one of the most impressive, human beings, just in regards to, he hit some balls that were astronomical home runs that were just so impressive.
Hadn't come down yet?
They were, no. I mean, he was an MVP in Taiwan. He joined a very elite group of professional athletes or baseball players in regards to being 40-40 guys, 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases. I think he had like 120 or 130 RBIs when he was there. He was with the Brewers the past couple of years. Now he's with the Nationals. And then I had a kid who actually lives in the Dallas area now, Brett Hunter. Funny story. I recruited him. He was out of Moore Park, California, and he was throwing about 87 to 89 miles an hour. So he was just an average college baseball player, very similar to you, Cody, 87, 89, off the bump. But then all of a sudden, you see, Cody's not even giving me like a facial expression. He's like, yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
I'm going to wait until you're done, and then I'm going to talk to you about pitching, my pitching debut.
Okay. And so all of a sudden I get a call from a coach. And coach said, hey, do you have a kid named Brett Hunter committed to you? And I was like, actually, yeah, I do. And he's like, yeah, right now he's sitting, we're in Farmington, New Mexico at the Connie Mack World Series. And he said, yeah, he's sitting 95 to 98 and he's struck out like 16 guys in 7 innings right now. And I'm like, wait, Brett Hunter from Moore Park, California. And he said, yeah. And so I remember calling Brett and I go, hey, I'm hearing this correctly? And he said, yeah, coach, I woke up one day and I was throwing a bullpen. He's like, man, my arm feels really good today. I mean, he ended up throwing 97 to 100 miles an hour for me at Pepperdine. It was, you could hear the ball out of his hand. It was one of the most impressive things. Just visually, when you see these guys throwing 97 to 100, you don't realize how fast that is. It's really impressive. All right, tell me the story. Let's go. Tell me the story. I'm ready for you, Cody.
But you're talking about being average off the bump, 87, 88. My major league pitching debut was at Fenway.
Well, it should be. I mean, for most prize pitchers, they should be in Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park. I tell you, if you're going to do it right. Absolutely.
Well, and, I wasn't out there, 87, 88. I walked up there and threw 9. Did you catch that?
39 or I just heard 9.
39. Yeah.
Did you throw a strike? Did you throw a strike?
I threw a strike, actually, and I threw it from the rubber.
You better, because that was going to take us to a whole new conversation.
Yeah.
He was told he had to throw it from the rubber.
Yes. You don't go to Fenway and go in front of them. No, you don't do that.
It was so much fun. It was about a year ago at this time, and our buddy Andrew Kashner was pitching for Boston at the time, and we were up there and we had a few days off. And I love Boston. It's one of my favorite cities to go and hang out in. So when we play up there, we usually take a few days off just to enjoy it. And usually one of our wives come out. Josh's wife's been out there, my wife's been out there, but but yeah, I got to throw the first pitch out for my 39th birthday, and I wasn't worried about speed. I was worried about not putting it in the dirt and throwing it from the rubber. You know, that was the big thing. So they clocked me at 39 on my 39th birthday. It was you couldn't, you know, when you get a nice fastball, you couldn't really hear the hum. It just kind of made a sound.
I will say this. How many pitchers have made their major league debut at Fenway Park? See, you are now a part of a very elite group. That's just all there is to say. You're a part of a very elite group.
Do I get a jacket?
I'll get you a jacket. That's not a problem. I will get you a jacket.
I got the jersey hanging up over here. But, oh, man, this has been fun, and I could do this forever. We've been very gracious with your time. I know we've got a few more things to touch on.
Let's go.
I don't want to take up too much of your time. But you know, we got to meet personally at Loud and Heavy. That was the first time, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. How did you, I know you're a big music fan, so this is the music portion here. How did you come across what we were doing? How did you hear about us? You know, how did that all work?
You want to know the true story?
I love good stories, man.
Okay. So I'm trying to think, Bobby Keith's going to have to help me with this one. I'm trying to think of what happened first. But I'm pretty sure I had a starting pitcher who was ended up being, the Big 12 pitcher of the year. His name's Cody Bradford, and he is a huge fan of yours. Okay. And so
he was out to Loud and Heavy, if I'm not mistaken.
He came out to Loud and Heavy, and he had that song come on, and I was like, man, I absolutely love that song. And so every Friday we would get to hear that song as he was getting ready to start pitching. And so I went to Standard Hat Works. One day, I think I was picking up my hat, and Bobby Keith was in there, and all of a sudden we started talking, and he said he lives in the area, and he wanted to come out and shag some fly balls. And I said, man, you want to take BP, shag, fly, whatever you want to do, you're more than welcome to. Cause that's the thing. I love when people come out, cause I think shagging is fun. I do. I think shagging is fun. I think
that's all I want to do, man.
And it's awesome. And so I've had some really fun people, man. I've had David Duchovny. I've had Reggie Miller. I've had all sorts of people just come out and shag. And I just think it's a lot of fun when people get out there and our guys get a chance to talk to them. And, it's really fun for me. And so we had an opportunity, and he's like, hey man, I don't know if you like, country music, Texas country music. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And so that's how the conversation started. And then he invited us up, and, obviously very gracious enough to be able to get us to meet you as well.
Oh man, that's cool. That's a good story. See, yeah.
And you never knew that, did you? See, all about behind the works. All of a sudden, I'm just in front of your face when you're done with your show, and you're like, how in the hell did you get back here? That's the process that we had to go through.
I look at everybody like that, Coach. I look at everybody like that. No, I figured it was probably Bobby Keith trying to walk on or something. I didn't know. Yeah,
trying to revive his college career.
All I wanted to do was shag balls. I was like, man, I just want to come out and shag. And
man, I've seen it. He loves shagging balls. We were up in Springfield for the AA affiliate,
the Cardinals,
with the Cardinals, and that's Keith just wanted to stand out and shag balls.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I will say, Josh was out there. He had never done it. He couldn't believe like the trajectory of it, and he was like, man, this is.
I did it once. I lost sight of one, and
dude, you almost got knocked out.
And it literally. I was walking forward, and it landed between my feet.
I heard the guy say, right on you, and Josh was just walking, and I heard right on you, and I looked over, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It was right on him.
And then there was some people that were standing, in the stand there. I just heard this, ooh, and I was like, I'm going to get the hell out of here, I think.
I'll tell you what, every time we have guests come out, I always put a player with the guests just because I'm like, hey, make sure. Because, I mean, to be honest, there's balls coming from all sorts of different directions.
And it's dangerous.
Being thrown over here or whatever it is. I just said, just make sure they don't get hit. And I'll tell you what, like like I said, there's some pretty high profile people that we've had come out. And, I'm just like, hey, just make sure and stuff like that. So I remember when Reggie Miller was out there, I told him, I said, "Hey, Reggie, come on, you got to hit. Or he wouldn't go after a ball either. I'm like, man, if you're going to shag, let's shag. He's like, man, coach, I don't catch it. I shoot it. I go, well, then shoot it from there into the basket. Do something. But it was awesome. He was great out there. But he loved coming out because he loved running. He was a big exercise guy. Would run the stairs at our stadium and then he would come out and shag.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. And it's like you say, it's fun to have people come out there. And I live about 3 hours from 2.5, 3 hours from the complex. And Keith's been trying to get me to come out, last year, whenever things were normal.
Yeah. Thanks for making an effort, Cody. Really appreciate it, man.
and now that I'm not busy, I want to go shag balls, but there's no balls to be shagged because of the same reason I'm not busy. So it's.
There will be. We're starting up here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, well then,
when the weather cools down, we'll all three have to come down.
Oh, okay. Now it's got to be 75. You want like a palm leaf and some frozen grapes too? I mean, come on. What is this? Like,
I'm going to need one of those. I'm going to need one of those ice packs that the mascots wear underneath their suit.
Okay, we can do that. I'll get you a fan. I'll get you a fan.
Those, and I'm not taking batting practice because I had to go to the chiropractor last time I did that. So I'm purely shagging balls. That's all I'm going to do.
All right, we can do that.
All right, fair enough. All right, we started something new, Coach, and we don't really know what to call it yet, but it's a rapid fire group of questions that Bobby, Keith, and Josh are going to throw at you. Are you game? This is some tough stuff, man.
It's tough. It's real
okay.
tough.
I'm actually kind of curious about this.
Yeah. Okay. All right, boys. All right, hit him hard.
Okay, so it's like the lightning round in Friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
What's your favorite music venue since you like the music?
Oh man, I went up to Nashville and saw Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw up there. I love playing that. The big where the Titans play. That was actually really fun. But Garth Brooks in Vegas at the what was the hotel where he played where it was just him and acoustic. But yeah, there in Vegas, that was awesome.
Awesome, very cool. Do you believe in ghosts?
No,
man. Okay, so no, this is great because I don't either. And yeah, all right. We are now like over.
There was a segue there that obviously did not happen.
No. There was a thing that came out that 3 out of 5 people believe in ghosts, and I thought, man, I feel like that's a little high. So I've decided, and now we are now 0 for 3.
We're 0 for 3 since he started asking that
on the ghost question. So This is great. I'm liking this. Okay. And last one from me, what food could you just consume a bunch of in a quick amount of time?
Cajun food. Okay. Oh man, I love me some gumbo, some crawfish, some shrimp, some po' boys.
So you'll do like 10 pounds of crawfish.
And I could just crush it left and right. Absolutely.
Nice. Bobby Keith.
All right, I'm going to take yours because I like it. Your favorite 2 a.m. meal.
2 a.m. meal. Cereal. If I'm going, I haven't eaten cereal in a long time, but if I'm up at 2 a.m. and I need to eat something, I'm eating cereal.
All right, favorite video game, past or now, if you played it all.
I don't play video games, but past, Tomb Raider.
Okay, all right.
Back in the day, Lara Croft.
Last one, morning person or night owl?
Both. Depends on the time of the year.
All right.
So this time of year, are you staying up late?
You know what? Even on both. If I'm going fishing in the morning, I get up early. Like in the winter, duck hunting, man. It is night light. I am up at 4 a.m. and for some reason I'm wide awake at 4. I'm ready to go.
We are actually planning a duck hunting trip with us 4 and a couple of other friends of ours, Josh Dockin as well. You talked to him, so
yes,
we are looking forward to that, and hopefully we can all we all ride up there together.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You know what we need to do? And I see, Coach, people won't be able to see this, but you have your Baylor colors Stacking Bills hat on.
That's correct.
Stacking Bills there, our good buddy Bobby. What we should do is, because I know that they've got this idea to get this duck hunt in the works, which I'm down for because we got hooked on it last year. And I'm a night owl, and my ass doesn't get out of bed before 8:00 unless I'm going fishing or duck hunting. That's like, I won't get out of bed early to go deer hunting, but I will get out of bed early to go pop some ducks, man. That is so much fun. Me and Keith got into it last year. We got Josh into it. Josh has come over to my place a few times, and we've got a few birds. So what we'll do, just because of all the travel restrictions and not travel restrictions, all that stuff, we'll get my tour bus. I'll have Nino drive to Waco, pick you guys up, and then pick us up through Fort Worth, and then we'll head north from there. We'll just take the tour bus up and do it right.
Let's do it. I'm all about it.
That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah.
I'll tell you what, a buddy of mine I usually go duck hunting with is up in Seattle, and I go up there every December, and it is one of the most game-changing environments that I've ever been a part of.
Isn't that a beautiful part of the country, though?
Oh, my gosh. We go down to the Yakima area, and it is mallards after mallards after mallards after pintail. I mean, it's just nonstop, man. It is unbelievable. And I go up there, and like last year, it was like just a wood duck fest. It was wood ducks after going crazy, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. It's really neat up there. What's
your shotgun and shot shell of choice?
Oh man, I have a Benelli, 12 gauge, and I love that thing. It's awesome.
I tell you what, man, it's hard to beat those Benellis. I've got a 20 gauge because I'm 5'7".
You're soft. Come on, you're soft. You don't like the shoulder; it hurts you too much. I'll tell you what, though, those 3-inch shells, if you're not careful, they'll do some damage on that shoulder.
They will, man. I tell you what, those Benellis, it's hard to beat those, man. That's about as fine a shotgun as I've shot. Well, cool. Well, hey,
we'll be looking for their sponsor next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you have my number along with that.
I was just gonna say, it's like between coaches got stacking bills. I got Standard Hatworks hat on. Bobby Keith has his Baylor baseball shirt on. Oh, we got Monster.
We got Monster drink. Come on.
And we got Ward Davis right there.
There you go.
Well, I got my Ward Davis koozie. Hey, I'm not drinking Miller Lite today. Look at that. That's a Tecate.
Oh my goodness.
That's a Tecate Light.
I appreciate you looking after your figure. Good job.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, did I just see Budweiser's coming out with a beer that has no alcohol and no calories, or 10 calories or something like that?
I think I saw that.
It's like Bud Zero or something. I have no idea. I saw it and I said, is that really something? So I don't know.
It doesn't sound like anything much to me. I don't know what that would be for. Anyway, Coach, thank you so much. And I tell you, we have enjoyed talking with you. And when I'm at shows, when we're at shows, we're all working, so we don't really get to sit down and kind of be normal. And work days are work days. Days you have to coach a game, then it's all business and stuff like that. So that's why doing these are so much fun. And I love you're the second coach we've had on. We had Jeff Bannister on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I love talking to you guys, and I love getting into the psychology and being the leader of whatever it is. You have to have all that stuff down. You have to learn from other people, talk with people, learn your philosophies, learn how to make something run and be effective at it. And undoubtedly, you have been doing that for a long, long time in the game of baseball. So here is to continued success for you. And whenever we get this thing started back up, man, I'm going to come down and shag some balls, all right?
No, I appreciate it. Hey, when you come down, my wife has a little Airbnb here called the Morrow House, and you're more than welcome to stay there. Just got to let us know the date so we can block them off for you. It's actually pretty cool.
Hey, well, we could do that, man.
Bobby Keith knows about it.
Oh man, I've stayed there 2 nights. It's beautiful. I love it.
It's like it was 1860. It was built. Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Oh heck yeah! All right. Well, I just got an invite. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm there, man. Well, I'll go buy you a hamburger or something, man. Sleep at your point. But
I appreciate it.
We appreciate it again, Coach. You guys have been listening to A Couple In with Cody Jinks. We got Josh Thompson out of Boyd, Texas. We got Bobby Keith Kilgore coming to us from just outside of Waco. We have Seth Noseworthy turning the knobs out in Nashville, Tennessee. And today our guest has been Coach Steve Rodriguez, University of Baylor. And that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you again, Coach. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.